growing on Vancouver Island. I'm Lisa and we are checking out my wildflower rock garden today. I've decided not to do quite as many edited videos in recent times and just do lives because they're easier, they're faster, they're more fun, and people seem to enjoy them more. So let's get right into it. Let's start with what is right beside me that you can see in the background. This is a spirea bush, and yes, I probably butchered the pronunciation of the flower or shrub name. It is super drought tolerant, awesome addition to any rock garden. Let's take another look at it. Here are some of the blooms. You can see the new blooms as well as the old blooms, and these are the most beautiful flowers. They have a slightly fuzzy texture to them. So gorgeous in bouquets, and these dry super well. If you're looking to dry flowers, I have two separate bouquets of this in my house from over a year ago, and they look gorgeous. I made one a seasonal display with bits of glitter in it, and the flowers dry in different colors. So if you were to clip this branch, you're probably going to have two different shades even in the dry form. Such a versatile plant, so gorgeous. You don't have to dry the flowers, you can just enjoy them outside, but absolutely beautiful. This is a zone 7 to 9, depending on who you ask. And I literally just got bitten by a red ant. I just killed it. I don't normally kill insects, but it was biting me in the arm, so it had to go. Yeah, gorgeous shrub. This is actually something, I didn't buy this and I didn't plant it. My neighbor has one growing, and I'll show you what happens. This is a plant that readily reseeds on its own. So here you see this one, and see if I can give you an example. I have another one growing right over here, slightly different variety. This is a golden spirea shrub. Again, butchering the pronunciation, that's fine. You can see the foliage is more of a lime green golden color. Different times of the year it looks more golden versus lime green. And this is what happens. Here is a baby version of the same plant. And I have 3 or 4 of these shrubs in my rock garden here. And I literally didn't buy any of them when I was creating this rock garden. I didn't have a very big budget, and I just shopped locally. I'm going to show you the neighbors, and this is where I got my plant from. We're just going to take a little field trip across the boulevard, because if you're on a budget, why not use little seeds that are already available? So this over here is actually not my garden. This is the neighbor's garden, and this plant puts out so many of these baby seedlings. I literally pull them out like weeds. There's one right here. Sometimes I let them grow. Sometimes I give them away for free to people, but that is where my plants came from. There were so many of them over here about 6 years ago, 6, 7 years ago. I've lost track of the time. That is where all the plants came from. That little shrub, big shrub actually. So let's take another look at this rock garden. What you see right here, this is a ground cover called Grace Ward, and bees typically really like it. But right now the bees have migrated. There are still bees here. I just scared one away, but they are not attracted to it right now. As I've done in previous live streams, they're on other things. You're looking at my California lilac right now, and this is the second year I've incorporated pumpkins into this garden, and they are doing really well. It was one of my little gardening secrets, mixed with nasturtiums, and for the first time ever I have planted beans in my rock garden. Kind of interesting. We'll see how it goes, and a tomato for the first time ever in the rock garden. So we'll see how it all plays out as the season progresses. There's a few red poppies starting to bloom. And here's just like a little overview of the rock garden. I won't go too fast, make anybody dizzy. The Shasta daisies are just on fire this season with growth. They have gone completely bonkers, the Shasta daisies. And this, I'm uncertain on its identity for sure, but most likely this is a larkspur. And it came from a wildflower mix, and it is so beautiful. They come back every year. I get a few here and there. Sort of a purpley blue color, really, really pretty. And we have bachelor's buttons, so easy to grow. Check out this little bird. It's literally been on and off this fire hydrant for several hours. I've been watering the garden and it just keeps coming back to the same fire hydrant. Have no idea why, but it seems to really enjoy this view. Maybe it's checking out the garden from here, not really sure. But cute little bird. Bachelor's buttons, and this is my Morden, I want to call it sunrise. This is not my Morden sunrise rose. White Mayland rose, shrub rose right here. It's putting on some nice blooms. Lots of traffic this morning in the neighborhood. And this is a rose cutting from my parents, mystery rose, and it is blooming. It's so beautiful. Lots of autumn joy sedums. And these pumpkins I planted from seed, and they are really doing well in this part of the rock garden. Thriving in this almost part shade that the rose companion plant is putting off. I haven't talked much about this flower, but it is absolutely gorgeous. Hello, good morning, Bubbles. Welcome to my Vancouver Island rock garden. We are talking about all of the different plants that are flowering today. Oh, what are we doing with the camera? There we go. That's what I was trying to do. This plant is so beautiful and so underrated. I feel like not a lot of gardeners talk about it. It's super drought tolerant, and if you can, let's see if I can show the camera. The leaves are so fuzzy. If you're ever looking for a drought tolerant plant, maybe I should turn the camera the other way. One thing to look for is sort of silvery colored fuzzy foliage. Those plants seem to be the most drought tolerant, and this bush has never looked so good. Or bush, it's not a bush, it's a perennial really. It comes back every year. We're zone 7 to 9 depending on who you ask, and the leaves are really soft and fuzzy. The flowers are gorgeous, and I really don't know why more people don't have this in their gardens. Hello, Fences Fox Den. Yes, I love it too. It is so pretty, and so many people don't have this in their garden. I really think they should. If you have a watering situation, a garden that is really dry, this is an awesome plant to have. I don't know the hardiness. You can Google it, but it is called rose companion plant or rose companion flower. That is the name. And it gets these gorgeous fuchsia colored blooms. So pretty. And right beside it we have some of my salvia. I think I did a how to plant salvia. Did I? Maybe I didn't. Video on this channel. I made several how-to videos early mid-spring, and it is thriving. Hummingbirds love this plant. So beautiful. I love the color. And right beside it, we have one of my ground cover roses, which looks so delightful with the Shasta daisies. I love it. And once again, we have autumn joy sedum. I have so much of it, and it is super drought tolerant and so gorgeous. It's not technically blooming yet, but that's what the flower buds will look like. They will be pink when they open up. Your mom is making a flower garden. That is so exciting. Is it a wildflower garden? Any flower garden is fun. Wildflowers are particularly nice. Here we have California poppies. And I used to think these were not native species on Vancouver Island, but I am mistaken. I recently bought a wildflower guide to Vancouver Island. coastal British Columbia, and they actually are considered wildflowers here. They are not invasive or anything like that. So that is super cool. The bees do love them, and so do other pollinators. There's some kind of, whoopsies, some kind of insect hovering around them right now. I don't know if that's a different variety of bee or what it is. Sometimes they're covered in bees. Today only these little tiny insects are going after them. But they are so drought tolerant and so beautiful. If you plant them once, you will have them probably for the whole life of the garden. They spread so much, and the pollinators usually have quite a good time in these flowers. So beautiful. And then here are some red poppies starting to bloom. They aren't quite as vigorous as the California poppies, but they're beautiful too, and they do spread out on their own. Plant them once and you'll have them for a very long time. I often incorporate little fairies and gnomes into my garden here and there. And there's a little gnome action for you. And some more California poppies. And the pansies, some of them are still going strong, mixed with the California poppies. And I have another little fairy house here, mixed with some flowers. And there is a fairy out in the garden too. And this fairy is getting into the autumn joy sedum. And this you're about to check out right here. This is my favorite view of the garden right now. All of the red flowers that you see, we have both orange and then we have red, sort of a muted red, I would say, pinkish red. Those are actually called rock roses. They are rock rose ground covers. And if you research rock roses, so that's where the fairies hide out. That's where some of the fairies hide out. There are many fairy hideouts here. If you research rock roses, they come in two varieties, if you want to say that. You have the ground cover version, which is what you see here. These are super drought tolerant, great for getting rid of weeds. The weeds will just be pretty much overgrown by these beautiful flowers. There's another version here. But there is also a shrub version of a rock rose, and mine is just starting to bloom. We're gonna go check it out. I haven't really shown it too much on my little videos that I make, but the blooms have just gotten started. So we're gonna check out the little rock rose shrub that I have. This is a weeping Japanese maple that we're passing by. Trying not to walk too fast. Sometimes the camera looks a little bit dizzy or blurry if you walk too fast. There's a little foxglove almost done blooming on the way. And right here we have a little gnome in the creeping thyme, having a little snack, I would say, on that edible herb. And this is what we call a shrub rock rose. I have a pretty small one. It actually didn't do so well in the winter, but it's rebounded. That is what the flowers look like. So beautiful, super drought tolerant, and a great addition to rock gardens. Now, if we come this way, this is one of my latest fairy creations. Now, I feel like it's a work in progress. We have a few seasons that have met here. You can probably tell. This is Halloween meets summertime, and I call this Lover's Lane. We have a spirit tree that has grown flowers out here. The Easter Bunny is being inundated with skulls. And we have a very alien-like creature that is just hanging out with this beautiful spirit tree covered in flowers. There is a skull tree hanging out under this dead-looking flower. And this monster has even grown flowers. This is really the season of flowers out in the fairyland. Now this guy, I'm not sure what he's really up to, but he got into a little pond of skulls, so he's probably not up to any good. And this witch has been inundated in ladybugs. I think she's actually full of good luck and good fortune. The wizard has started decorating himself in flowers, and he even has a little mixer he's created to mix floral potions up. He's really changed his tune from breeding magic mushrooms, and now he's in the world of flowers. Right behind him is one of the local fairy residences, and trees have started sprouting flowers like they've never seen before in this region of the world. Very floral looking items have been seen around here. And this is where Lover's Lane really starts. We have this couple here were so connected when they had bodies that even in the afterlife, they are just so connected. The ladybugs have agreed, and they just can't get enough love of each other. They're taking selfies in the afterlife. Hello, Sandra. We are checking out my fairyland in the rock garden. And this is where these little skeleton lovers have been living, in this dwelling right here. There is a fairy that does maintenance on the roof. Some spiders have moved in. And it's a pretty good size mansion for these lovers in their first life and their afterlife. They will never be separated. And that is the little lover sign for the House of Love. This seems to be the guardian or the security guard for this lover's house right here. And two bees seem to be attracted together. There's so much love circulating in the world around here. This really is the Lover's Lane. There's a witch with multiple ladybugs on her. And even the monster here has grown flowers from her veil. I think she might actually be the wedding commissioner for these two that is looking over them. And here is my $20,000 masterpiece. If you've been around my channel for a while, I did tell you guys how this is something I charge $20,000 for. This is actually a secret portal, and it will allow you to travel back in time to any given age and experience 1 year of your life once again. So it is actually just hanging out here for now. Probably should have a little better security than just a couple pumpkins, but the bear is doing a pretty good job keeping it safe beside the yarrow. And we have a little Easter hut that has been, let's just say, a spider has discovered it. This little monster has been so into the flowers that he decided to decorate himself in flowers. And we're taking a little time traveling trip, and we are now in the Arctic. There is a foxglove that has started blooming in the Arctic. The Shasta daisies have finished their bloom, and global warming has really hit this Arctic hard. There are so many new types of plants and foliage that have started sprouting out here in the Arctic. New species of giant spiders have been emerging. And this little snowman, maybe not so little, has even attracted butterflies. There are new flowers blooming, and many of the dwellings have actually started sprouting flowers and foliage here. And because of the changing Arctic conditions, Santa has not really known what to do. His normal winter hobbies have been completely taken away from him, so he decided to take up pumpkin farming, and this is his pumpkin farm. And because he's so successful with his pumpkin farm, this Christmas he's actually going to be delivering pumpkins along with many other non-traditional gifts around the world for Christmas. And the Arctic has observed very interesting trees sprouting around since the warmer temperatures have started. Even bats have been seen hovering in this area. There is a church that has sprouted flowers, and this tree is like nobody has seen before, that is totally growing flowers out of every nook and cranny. And here we have, I think this is some kind of geranium that has started flowering. It's so beautiful. And this is one of my favorite flowers. This is a sweet William, and it is looking so gorgeous. These are awesome in bouquets of roses. Not sure if I'm correct, but I find when you see the YouTube app live streams, they're always blurry when using StreamYard or the third-party apps. It's way more clear. Food for thought. I think you're right about that. I think it's due to connection problems. I don't know. I'm not really a StreamYard kind of person, so I don't know if I'll switch, but I have noticed some live streams are more clear than others, even on my own channel. Sometimes the videos are quite clear and sometimes they are quite blurry, and I don't really know enough about that to troubleshoot or figure out why. Sometimes they're really clear and other times they're really not. It's kind of unfortunate. Maybe YouTube will fix that one day if it's on their end. I don't really know. I'm hoping. This is my little narrow side garden. I think also it depends on the speed of how fast you're showing the images. Sometimes if you go too fast, the images can be more blurry, I've noticed. But I think there's multiple factors that really impact the clarity of the images on YouTube on a live stream. And more rock rose ground covers. These are red hot pokers, my original ones that are almost done blooming. And this is snow and summer that is almost finished. Another great drought tolerant ground cover. My white foxgloves are almost done blooming. And succulents are so awesome in a rock garden or a drought tolerant landscape. Here you can see my Japanese maple over the fence. There's a little view of the side garden from a distance. Some more sweet Williams mixed in the Shasta daisies, California poppies, foxgloves almost done, and you can see a sneak peek of my Desert King fig tree over the fence. Lots of figs this season. And we'll take just a quick little glimpse at my fairy garden over here on the boulevard. The neighborhood fairy garden that I rotate seasonally, sometimes multiple times a season it gets rotated. Different people add and subtract items here, and it is just so much fun. And a lot of times things go into weird places, and that is totally fine. These are some neighborhood additions, which I really like. A little treasure chest on the beach that the dragon is in charge of. We'll take another look inside the rock garden. We have more sweet Williams in here. I don't think I showed them this stream yet. These are really, really pretty. I love putting these in rose bouquets. So beautiful. And some roses in the mix here. These dark reddish colored ones are so gorgeous. Now, my Love in a Mist, Nigella Love in a Mist, is almost finished blooming. It had its peak season already, and what you see now, I have so much of it. There are flowers, but you're starting to see the seed pods form, and these are actually super pretty in bouquets too. You don't have to stop using them in bouquets when they stop flowering. You can definitely use the seed pods. The foliage and the seed pods are gorgeous in bouquets. And the California poppies really grow everywhere. Plant them in one place and you will literally have them in your entire garden within a couple of years. Here is my white Mayland shrub rose. It is really putting on so many flowers now, so gorgeous. Pretty drought tolerant, this rose, compared to many other varieties I've grown. These Shasta daisies are almost done, almost time for a little cutback, and we're going to take a little venture deeper into the garden here. And I'm going to give you a little look at this ground cover rose. It is so gorgeous, and I think it matches right underneath it. These are rock rose ground covers, and it is just so pretty. The combination of real roses with rock rose ground covers, I love it. A few pansies are still blooming here and there, and some nigella just seeds itself wherever it likes. And if you're new to nigella Love and a Mist, that is the flower right here. It comes in shades of blue and white. It's kind of a pale blue, but those are the two colors that are typical of nigella Love and a Mist. This season, mine were mostly white. I mean, you see blue here too, but there were definitely more white than blue this year for whatever reason. And this one almost has a little purple in it, which is kind of cool. And there is a little bird that has joined in on the tour, sitting on my hose reel. Lots and lots of autumn joy sedum in this garden. Some of the pansies are still growing strong. These are all self-seeded, planted many years ago, and they just come back wherever they like to. Here's another little rose. This one isn't doing as well. This is one of my more designer roses, even though it's not looking as good this season, I must say. More pansies. Oh, I can't remember. This might be I feel like this is my All-American Magic Rose, I think, that I showed in my plant tag videos. I have to show you. It started blooming and it is so gorgeous. This is one of my absolute favorite roses. It is like a painter's palette. The blooms here is so beautiful. And there's another one about to open. It's got actually a few blossoms that are about to open, and I absolutely love this. If I could have a whole garden of these multicolored roses, that would be my first choice. They are quite expensive here compared to other varieties, but so beautiful. And more California poppies with little tiny insects that may or may not be bees buzzing around. Some of them are bees, but then there's a few other insects that I'm not sure what they are, but they are attracted to these flowers. I am going to end my tour here. It is super warm today. I'm actually going to head down to the river and go for a swim. I went yesterday and it was so refreshing. Thank you all for joining me in the rock garden today, and I hope you have a lovely day. Bye-bye.